Development is the first phase of the planning process for your session. You are leading a small group discussion. It is helpful to start with your goals for the session. What do you want your students to take away from the session? These goals will be outlined in the session learning objectives. The purpose of a small group discussion is to allow for the exchange of opinions, observations, or ideas, usually to analyze, clarify, or reach conclusions about issues, questions, or problems. A small group discussion varies from a large group discussion in that it offers a unique opportunity to ensure more, if not all, students can actively engage with course materials and their peers. Small groups are ideally about 12 students or less. Consider the foundational knowledge required of the students in order to participate fully in your session. What materials could help fill learning gaps and solidify foundational knowledge? Identify materials that could be used to help prepare students for the small group discussion. This could be textbook readings, a video, or a digital activity. This material will be listed as required material for the students. Required material implies information that is critical to the student's ability to understand and participate fully in the session. Familiarize yourself with the learning objectives for your session prior to outlining your content. These are the key takeaways that express to what degree the students will be able to demonstrate and apply their understanding. This will help you to stay on track when planning your session content. Keep in mind the length of time allowed for your session. The length of time will determine how much and to what depth of the content you can cover. It is better to be able to cover less material more thoroughly. Use the learning objectives to shape the content of your presentation. Keep in mind the student's present knowledge and consistently make connections from the new information back to existing knowledge. Small group discussions can still have a lecture component to them, but they should also incorporate opportunities for discussion. They should not be purely lecture. You will want to plan your discussion points, prompts, and follow-up discussions and questions in advance. See the linked resources section if you would like more specific examples of interactive activities for a small group setting. Small group discussions can look many different ways. One thing to consider is whether you plan to have students in different breakout groups for the duration of the whole session, in which case you might like additional faculty support for facilitating different sessions simultaneously. Keep in mind what material or information they will need to facilitate a discussion effectively. If the students are working independently of a faculty facilitator in their small groups, leave time at the end of the session to regroup as a whole class and summarize the content together. In your summary at the end of class, refer back to the learning objectives and briefly address each one. This can be a good time for an informal assessment. For example, ask open-ended questions directly related to learning objectives and listen for student responses. Consider what supplementary material you can offer the students to follow your session. These are not required materials, but rather aids for further understanding. These can be textbook readings, a video, a digital activity, or something else. The next step in the planning process is design. See the next video to learn more about setting up presentation materials and designing your session page on Canvas.